Uh, Elizabeth Reyes has served there as and also the state tribal coordinator for Brownsfield 128A grant program. Before joining the RECRA and Brownsfield section, she was in the Office of Environmental Justice and Tribal Affairs, Wetland Section, Water Division, and Pesticide Program. She has been with the agency for almost 22 years. So I'm sure, Elizabeth, you have so much wonderful experience to share with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're delighted to have you join us with Sustainable Tulsa.
Thank you, Corey, and thank you everyone for being here. A pleasure to be here. Excuse me. As you heard, my name is Elizabeth Reyes, and I work at the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA. For those who are not familiar with EPA, we are a federal agency, and we've been around since 1970, 52 years. And our mission is to protect the human health and the environment. Some of you can go to the next slide. It's almost the same slide anyway, but thank you for that. So we're divided into 10 regions, and one headquarters and a couple of lab field offices. Excuse me. And I'm in Region 6. We're located in Dallas, Texas. And at EPA, we deal with a number of environmental regulations, policies, and environmental programs. I happen to be in the Brownfields program, and that's what I'm here for, to talk about Brownfields. So if you could please go to the next slide. Let me know if I'm going too fast, or just please stop me anytime. Feel free to do that. So thank you. So what is a Brownfields? First of all, what is a Brownfield? So based on EPA's definition of a Brownfield is a site or a property where the presence of or potential presence of a hazardous substance, a pollutant, or contaminant may complicate the reuse or expansion or redevelopment of such property. Plain English is a contaminated site that cannot be reused for because it's contaminated, plain and simple. So if you notice on the slide, we have before pictures. Those before pictures reflect what a Brownfield site looked like. By the way, these are Region 6 success stories pictures. The pictures, one was offered by our state of Oklahoma, the second one from Louisiana, and the third one from New Mexico. They're next to the before Brownfield site picture, you have the redeveloped site. How beautiful sites have become. They turn into beautiful sites and facilities. So just wanted to show you what Brownfield's program is about. So next slide. Thank you. So what is the purpose of this program? I'm going to try to keep it simple. Our program is to provide grants and technical assistance to communities, states, tribes, and others so that they can assess sites. They can sustainably, or actually safely clean up and sustainably redevelop or reuse contaminated sites. That's a simple way I can share this with you. We're here to provide grants and technical assistance. And one thing that I do want to emphasize is that this is a community-driven program. Our program originated, I guess, thanks to the community who raised concerns back in the 70s and 80s about contaminated sites. So we, years later, the Comprehensive Emergency Response Compensation Liability Act, or Superfund law, came out as a result of all these concerns from the communities. And after that, Brownfield's program came into place. So again, this is a community-driven program, and communities are a big component of this program. So just wanted to share that with you. Next slide, please. So where do we find these brownfield sites? Where are they? They're everywhere. They're everywhere. It can be a commercial property, an abandoned street. It can be an abandoned gas station. It can be an industrial property. Some of the contaminants that are commonly found on these sites are asbestos, petroleum, solvents and pesticides, and lead paint. Next slide, please. Excuse me. So again, what's the purpose of this program? What are the benefits of having to address brownfield sites? Well, let me go over my notes. Just want to make sure I'm addressing the right answer here. So a contaminated site is a potential threat to human health and the environment. Also, a contaminated site decreases property value and city tax revenue. So in my personal view, a brownfield site is not attractive, is not a desirable place to live or work. And not only that, but there's a potential for me to get exposed to pollutants. So definitely don't want to be near a brownfield site. But luckily, we have a Brownfields program because we have a win-win-win situation here. Socially, economically, and environmentally, we have benefits. Socially, we improve public health and address environmental justice. We encourage, of course, community engagement, which is a plus. We remove blight and reverse negative perceptions. Economically, we definitely attract more industries and redevelopment. We create jobs and encourage job retention. We expand tax base through redevelopment. And environmentally, it's another plus. We preserve green space, reduce urban sprawl, utilize improved existing infrastructure, and we also get to reduce effect of urban heat islands. So there you go. Those are some of the benefits that Brownfields program have an impact on. So I'm sorry about my coughing here. So I'd like to share a little bit of what a Brownfields project process involved. So for any project, we definitely, either us, the communities, the state, the tribe, or whoever is involved with the Brownfields project, they need to identify the sites. They need to conduct an inventory of sites, prioritize which sites will be going through redevelopment. So first do that. The second step is to assess the site. What do I mean by assess? By assess, we mean that the site is being evaluated. We need to identify the contaminants that are on the site. Okay, so once we have that evaluation assessment report, we can identify if the site is contaminated or not. If it's not contaminated, we can certainly skip the cleanup part and start redevelopment. But if the site is potentially contaminated, then we can definitely cleanup will be a must part, a component of this process. And then we follow with the redevelopment. It looks easy, this process, but it's really not. There's a lot of layers in it. So there's a lot of liability questions that we have to deal with, a lot of technical issues, a lot of course, we want to make sure that the community is also involved somehow, somewhere in the process. There could be a lack of support. Maybe a community is thrilled about starting a project, and then in the middle, maybe this is not what they really want. So there's a lot of things that happen in this process. So it's not as easy as it looks like, but just wanted to share a little bit what the process looks like. Next slide, please. So how does the EPA Brownfields program work? Again, I mentioned earlier, we provide technical assistance and grants. So We have a number of grants that we provide, and we have a different type of technical assistance that we provide. I'm going to start with the State and Tribal Response Program. If you can go to the next slide, please, Sam. And so I'm going to be a little biased about this because this is my favorite program. It's the program I'm in. This is the program I work with. I get to work with our states and tribes, and I work with 7 state agencies from Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Louisiana, and Arkansas. And I get to work with 7 tribes. 5 tribes in Oklahoma and 2 tribes in New Mexico. And I'm always delighted to talk to them because they always have new ideas to work with the communities, of course. So part of this partnership that I have with our states and tribes include funding, include a non-competitive grant. And this grant is, of course, to help the states and tribes to have a Brownfields program or a response program. We call it voluntary response program, but it's a Brownfields program. This funding also helps for state and tribes to build up Brownfields inventory, prioritize the sites. It also helps, again, to do outreach, public engagement. Again, this is a big component of our partnership. And like I said before, the process is to include small assessment and cleanup. So definitely funding goes towards assessing the sites and cleanups. This funding cannot go to redevelopment though, but it can definitely go to planning for redevelopment or cleanup. So next slide, please. So the next 2-3 slides show pictures of communities. I wanted to show you how one of our state agencies get to interact with the communities. In this case was with the community of Okama, the city of Okama. And the purpose of this meeting or session was to plan a reduced visioning, to come up with a plan on how to redevelop a church. And if you can go to the next slide. By the way, this is, again, work and pictures from state agency, the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality. And they are the ones who conducted this session. Not only they wanted to make the community aware of what's going on, but also they wanted to make them part of the project. They wanted them to provide feedback. And certainly this was a big success. This meeting took place before COVID, before the pandemic. And this was, again, an opportunity to collect ideas from the community. If you can go to the next slide, they had an opportunity to vote. And I think the plan now is for this church to be transformed or redeveloped into a library and have some commercial components as well. So again, I just wanted to show you how our states and tribes get to interact with the community, how we must work with our communities. This program is for the community. So wanted to reemphasize that. So next slide, please. So another grant we award is the assessment grant. The name says it all. This grant is for assessments mainly, and this is a competitive grant. And it's not only for assessment, but this funding can also be used for inventory or prioritizing sites. It can be used also for plans, for cleanup plans and reuse plans, revitalization plans. The solicitation notice is coming up in September this year, 2022. So be aware of this opportunity to apply for a grant assessment grant, sorry. Next slide. Thank you. So for the cleanup grant, same thing. This grant is for cleanups. It can be more than one applicant applying for this grant. And a phase 2 assessment must be completed believe I mentioned earlier that an assessment or involves or an assessment is an evaluation of the site. A phase 2 assessment is a more comprehensive and more detailed assessment, really determining what kind of contaminants are on the site. Phase 1 is pretty basic, just the history of the site, potential contaminants. A phase 2 assessment is more detailed, more comprehensive. So that assessment, phase 2 assessment must be completed in order to apply for this cleanup grant. An analysis of Brownfields cleanup alternatives must be attached. It's a big requirement. Again, community involvement activities, it is a must. If community involvement is not part of this grant proposal, chances are that this proposal is not gonna have a high score. That's just how it is. Again, community, community, community. This is a competitive grant, and the solicitation for cleanups grants is coming up also in September 2022. Next slide, please. Again, I wanted to show you an example of what a cleanup grant can do. In this case, the picture came from our tribe, Kickapoo tribe of Oklahoma. They submitted a cleanup grant a few years ago, and they just completed their cleanup. And the plan included to redevelop an old gymnasium. It was just into the same facility. It's still a gymnasium, but it's much nicer, of course, and pollutant free. So if you can go to the next slide, definitely the facility looks nicer and cleaner. And just if you can go to the next slide, please. Just wanted to share with you the great job that our states and tribes, communities are doing with all these grants, these proposals. We truly appreciate their hard work. I believe this site was assessed by another tribal partner, and then the cleanup grant, funded the cleanup part, and for the redevelopment part, the tribe got funding from another federal agency. So this is how it worked out. So just wanted to share that extra with you. So next slide, please. TBA's targeted brownfields assessment. I mentioned to you again that we provide technical assistance, and this is one of them. This is, we call them TBA. So what is a TBA? We have EPA TBA, and what we do is if someone is interested in getting an assessment, you can certainly apply with us. We can certainly conduct an assessment for you at no cost. But first you'd have to submit paperwork and find out if your site is eligible for an assessment. It's a process. It shouldn't be that difficult though. So you submit the paperwork. If you qualify, we'll definitely proceed with an assessment. It can be a phase 1 or 2 assessment. Again, no cost to you, to the community, to the state, whoever is applying for this TBA. Privately owned sites may be considered as candidate sites, but then again, it needs to have a significant benefit to the community. So that's, again, we're always trying to include our communities. The person in charge of this program, of this component, is her name is Roxanne Welch, and you can email her at welch.roxanne@epa.gov. Next slide, please. We collaborate with the Kansas State University so that they can help us in providing technical assistance to Brownfields communities in TAP program. We also call it TAP program. So we partner with them so that they can, again, provide technical assistance. What kind of technical assistance do they provide? They can certainly help you with grant writing. if you're thinking about applying for a competitive grant, they're certainly open to, and to help you on the grant writing part. They can also help you a little bit with revision, redevelopment plans. They can give you ideas. They can point you to the right direction. So that's the type of technical assistance that our partners can provide. Next slide, please. Land revitalization. This is another component of the Brownfields program, and it's basically another technical assistance part of our program. It's again, engagement, visioning and planning, strategic action plan, technical analysis. So the way this works is, for instance, if your community is interested on on land revitalization, but are clueless or need some type of assisting, technical assistance, then what you can do is submit your ideas to us, to the region, and then we forward those ideas to our headquarters. They are the ones who select whether you can get technical assistance. Headquarters work with consultants, with a contractor. The contractor works with us, so we can work together and provide technical assistance on how you can redevelop a site or anything that has to reuse redevelopment. We can certainly help you there. It's a different process, but it can be done. It's been done, so very successfully. So next slide, please. Who's eligible for Brownfields assistance opportunities? So NCOGs, regional councils of government, cities, redevelopment agencies, tribes, nonprofit organizations, local governments. So a lot of opportunities here to apply, definitely. So next slide, please. Okay, another grant opportunity we offer, that is the EPA Brownfields job training. I have a lot of respect for this grant program because it truly touches people's hearts directly. And this is a program where where the applicant offers training to people who are disabled, veterans, people, low-income people, people who have a hard time finding a job that doesn't have the skills. Again, I appreciate the work of the applicant because the applicant gets to train these people in so that they can find the confidence and the skills, and they can find a job in the environmental technical field. So I think it's very fulfilling. This opportunity is a competitive grant. Again, it's a grant to recruit, train, and place underemployed residents of communities affected by solid and hazardous waste. Sorry, something came out here. Thank you. So training topics can include the assessment and cleanup of solid and hazardous waste, chemical risk management, stormwater management, and green infrastructure installation and maintenance. What you see here on the slide is information from Santa Fe Community College. They have been granted with the job training grant, and right now they're working on it. I do understand it's been kind of slow, still trying to catch up with the pandemic, and New Mexico, of course, is dealing with unfortunately drought and fires. So right now this is not a priority, but still the applicant is doing their best so they can recruit people and get them ready for great jobs. Next, before we go to the next slide, I'm sorry, I meant to mention the solicitation for application is out now, and it's gonna be closed next month. Applicants can apply up to $500,000 this year. It's been in the past $200,000, but because of new money that we're getting, and I'll explain to you later. Applicants get to apply for $500,000 grants, and you also, part of the funding includes not only the training, but also stipends for transportation, help with the transportation of the students, and also for childcare. So those are different factors included on our new grant proposal. So I hope you get a chance to take a look at the grant proposal, the solicitation. So next slide. Okay, I mentioned earlier about supplemental funding that we're getting, and we are getting supplemental funding, and through the bipartisan infrastructure law, we got a historic investment of $1.5 billion. What does this mean? It means that we're gonna be able to provide supplemental funding to our tribes and states. It means that there's a potential that our competitive grants might have a higher awarding amount. So, and I'm sure this gives an opportunity for communities to come up with great ideas, and hopefully we can be able to support them. So next slide, please. And I like to take this opportunity to invite you to our National Brownfields Conference 2022. It will take place next month in August from 16th through the 19th, and it will take place in Oklahoma City. The link is in the bottom of the slide, so you can register. I truly encourage everyone to be part of this. It's an opportunity to learn more about brownfields, to network, meet people, learn about what projects are taking place in other states. How are people, different ideas they're coming up with, new technology, and all those sorts of things. So I encourage you to be there. I plan to be there, so I hope to see you there. So I think that's it for now for this presentation.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So much great information and really opportunity for many that are on this call with us today. So thank you for sharing those details and just such an incredible program. I know in Oklahoma, it's definitely one of the programs that has been a great success, and we get to enjoy some of those community spaces on a regular basis. So it's added so much to our community. We've got a lot of questions coming through, and I'm going to do my best to try to answer them as best, or get them to you, so you might be able to help answer these as best as we can. So I'm going to just start with a question here. And sorry, there's just so many. I just want to make sure I don't miss any here. Okay. Heidi Big Knife said, is there a possibility that the latest Supreme Court ruling with EPA could affect the existence of this program?
I don't think so. Even though we haven't had any new information or direction, I don't think this will have an impact on the Brownfields program. I hope not. So, but I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And then another question from Bethany Depew is, would Superfund sites like in Pitcher, Oklahoma be applicable for this?
If it's a Superfund site, no. I'll explain it how I better, I'll try to explain it as I can. So a Superfund site it's huge sites. The intensity of pollution is enormous. A Brownfields, I see it as a little Superfund. It's a much smaller scale site that is contaminated, and the contamination is, I guess, lower than a Superfund site. So no, a Superfund site will not qualify for this Brownfields program, if that makes sense. So.
And there's another program for that, like you had. Okay.
We have a Superfunds program, and they have Superfund grants too. So yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, and another question here from on Adrian Redinger is, what is the time frame of the grant process? Or how long does it take from site identification, assessment, community involvement, etc., to receiving the grant if chosen? Is there a time frame that the community must use the grant if they're awarded one? And can a community resubmit each year if they do not receive a grant?
Okay.
And yeah, go ahead.
So writing the proposal can take some time. So yeah, it's gonna take some time. But once the community, the state, the tribe, it's awarded, then the grants can be a 3-year grant term. Now, if there's a case where they need an extension, the community or the state, the tribe needs an extension, we can provide it. But again, justification needs to be in place. So we give them a 3-year term so that they can conduct, whether it's a cleanup or an assessment. Again, if more time is needed, an extension can be provided as long as it's justified.
Great. And then I think the other thing was in this question there was a lot to it, is if you are not awarded, can you apply every year? Is there a chance to keep applying?
Absolutely, yes. We welcome applications anytime. Yes, absolutely.
Great. Okay. Great question. You may be getting some applications here pretty soon.
Good. We want to. Yes.
I've got some more questions if you want me to go ahead.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. So where, like, as us as individuals, should we start if we, see a site that we think would be good for the Brownfield program, but we don't have any direct connection to it?
Okay, well, thank you for that question. So you can definitely just give us a call. Give us a call. I provided Roxanne's email. If you're interested on us conducting an assessment, we can certainly, if the site is eligible, we can certainly conduct an assessment and find out if this site needs a cleanup or not. So you can start with us. Also with the Kansas State University, again, we have a partnership. They can give you some guidance. So don't be afraid to make a phone call. We're not mean, so we can certainly answer any questions. And if you don't feel comfortable giving us a call or sending us an email, definitely our partner, Kansas State University, is definitely a good resource to go to if you have any questions on assessment or how to join the Brownfields program. So
great. We have another question here about the job training program being available in Oklahoma. We had a response saying that it is available here, but we're curious to know which institutions can apply for the $500,000 grants.
Tribes can apply, universities, colleges, nonprofit organizations. I think and local governments. Those are the main entities that get to apply. If you want more specific, you can definitely provide that information. Again, send me an email or call me. But those are the main ones that get to apply.
Awesome. How about, are there any priorities set by your department other than kind of what you were talking about there with the specific institutions to ensure that these funds or loans are given to the communities that are in most need?
Okay, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Are there any priorities set by your department to ensure that these funds are given to communities that are most in need of this revitalization or jobs trainings?
Okay, thank you for that. So when I say the solicitation is out or will come out in September, so the solicitation includes guidance, includes all the information, all the requirements all the information you need to apply and all the information you need so you can make sure that we address all the requirements, the criteria, the terms and conditions. So the guidance is the solicitations or the guidances, the guidelines are the place to look at and identify how you can meet those criteria, how you can work on your project. I mean, all the requirements are there in the guidelines. The solicitations, you call them solicitations, but they're guidelines too. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think so. We have another one here that is there any sort of cost share required to receive the funding from this program?
I believe the cleanup grants have a matching requirement. I think so. I don't recall the percentage. So cleanup grants, I think they do have a matching part. Assessment don't. Our state and tribal response program don't. Just the cleanup part, I think.
Wonderful.
Job training is no matching requirement. Although it's good to see on their proposal that they're working with others, and in case funding is not there, it's good to see if they're going to have leverage, if somebody's going to help them, if that makes sense. But it is not a requirement, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Job training.
Is there anything that from just your personal experience or the length of time that you've been at the EPA where you've seen these brownfield sites or impacts disproportionately affect certain communities or groups more than others?
Well, I've been with Brownfields almost 3 years. I do know that part of the agency's goals, it's always been, but this year and the next 4 years is significant that we address environmental justice and climate change. Those are 2 goals that definitely are something that we want to see from our grantees, that they address environmental justice. Having said that, our intent is not to affect anyone. Our intent is to help whoever is in need. So I really can't tell you. I don't have any knowledge of, of affecting certain communities. All I know that we try to work with them. At this point, that's all the information I have about. Hope that helps.
Absolutely. And I have one more before I'm going to turn it to Michelle Barnett of our City of Tulsa to give us a quick note about the program here. Can people have a full-time job while participating in the jobs training program?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
absolutely.
And kind of a follow-up question on that. With the programs that are available for the jobs trainings, is there a place that we can find what those training opportunities would be like in Oklahoma, or to request more of those opportunities here?
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? I just want to make sure I'm understanding. Sorry.
Absolutely. For the jobs training program, where can we go to find those opportunities in Oklahoma, or where can we request that more of those opportunities be made here?
Okay, it's a good question. So definitely, okay, so the type of training that that can be provided, that information can be found on the guidance on the solicitation notice. But as far as finding specific job opportunities, I'm only aware right now of a tribe that applied they applied this year and they're about to get awarded. So that might be an opportunity for students to apply, and the tribe is, I believe, Arapaho and Cheyenne tribe. They are about to get awarded for a job training grant. So perhaps that's a good way to go. But definitely, if we can follow up on this conversation later on a phone call or email.
Perfect. Yeah, I would love to give our audience as much information as they can to get involved. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. With that, I'm going to turn it over real quick to Michelle here, who's going to give us a quick note from the City of Tulsa.
Hey, thanks everyone. I'm Michelle Barnett. As she mentioned, I am in charge of economic and workforce development for Partner Tulsa, which is the economic and community development arm of the City of Tulsa. One of my jobs is our Brownfields program. The City of Tulsa currently has 3 grants from EPA. I had to think about it a second. We have a cleanup grant that we're executing for work at the airport. We have assessment grants, so we have funding available that's similar to the TBA program that Elizabeth described. TBAs are available either from EPA at the regional level, from the state through ODEQ, or also through the city. So there are 3 different places that you can go to get money if you need phase 1 or phase 2 assessments, asbestos surveys, mold inspections, or that type of work done, even on private property. It's not just a government thing. So those are 3 different opportunities at the state, federal, and local level that you can look for assessment funding. We also have locally a revolving loan fund for brownfields, and we've completed 2 projects through that so far with private developers. One of them being the Hyatt Hotel downtown was a brownfield site that we worked with the developer there to remove asbestos from that building and redevelop that property as that hotel. The second one that was just completed is the Diamond Building at 17th and South Boulder here in Tulsa, which is a building that's probably been vacant for 30, 40 years at this point, and is now at the point where it can be redeveloped. I'm really excited about doing that project. But we still have funds available, about $1 million in funding that's available through that for other projects. So if there is a cleanup project locally inside the city of Tulsa, that needs funding for that cleanup and has a clear endpoint in sight in terms of redevelopment, we would love to be able to work with you on helping you find funding for the cleanup of that property. So two specific things available for the public, one of them being assessments, the second one being funding for cleanup of properties. That's it for me.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Michelle. It's really helpful for everyone to know. I'm going to ask one last question to Elizabeth here, and then we're going to go ahead and finish up the slideshow that we have for today and launch our exit poll. So the last question I have for you, Elizabeth, actually, we might have 2 more. How can we build more collective action around these programs locally? Are there any sort of working groups for each state or region-wide that we can start working together in a more concerted effort around?
Thank you for that question. So I'm sure my supervisor would love to hear this, and it would be great if, definitely would have to reach out to, in this case, ODEQ, OCC. We also work with the Oklahoma Corporation Commission, and definitely our tribes in Oklahoma. So maybe we can do more direct work with the communities and come up with a work group or something. So yeah, I'm sure the possibility is there, but absolutely, it's a fabulous idea. So yes, I'll be more than happy to look into this. So yeah.
Great. Well, I'm excited to continue the conversations then.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and the very last question that that we got, hold on one second. Okay, here we go. With the I know you talked a little bit about what the Brownfields conference in OKC next month will be, but who are the type of people that should think about attending this, and what really is the big purpose of such a large event like this?
Thank you. People from the redevelopment industry will be there sharing ideas, what other, for instance, other states are doing, or what's going on in the nation as far as, you know, how to address brownfields, what kind of projects are taking place. Again, states, tribes, communities, anybody is welcome. Again, an opportunity to learn about the technology is being used, new technology, or even technology from other countries, what's being done to address brownfield sites. So definitely an opportunity to learn a lot about brownfields and ways to, again, to improve our technology, how we are approaching, how we are addressing brownfield sites in a more efficient and sustainable way. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we are excited to attend. So
Good.
with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Sam and Corey here to finish up our presentation, and then we'll launch our exit poll.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Just a wealth of information, and we knew it to be true. And thank you so much for sharing all that, and so many great questions from our community. It looks like other folks are putting some things in the chat to help out. So thank you to each of you for continuing the conversation and helping everyone learn about opportunities. It sounds like there's many. Just to wrap up, we have our upcoming Recharge event. People, Profit, Planet is our theme. And as always, and this will be September 8th, 5:30 to 8:30 at Post Oak Lodge. So tickets and sponsorship are available on sale right now at visit sustainabletulsainc.org and join us there. I think something will be in the link there where you can do that. And so we appreciate you joining us there. And then also want to take a moment to also take the next poll. We have one more poll. Teresa will launch that now, and answer those questions for us, if you will. It helps us understand if we are sharing the kind of information you're looking for, and is it something where it's making a difference and changing the way that you conduct your next few weeks and months around the information shared. So please share that your comments back. So take a moment. We'll see that there. The poll will be shared there. And also you'll receive some of the information, some of the links that have been shared today, and the recording. That'll be on Monday. If you, through your RSVP, you'll get that update. So that'll be out there. And then we'll also have it online if you want to go back and look at any of our past presentations. So go ahead and join us there. Also, one thing, again, our sponsors, we could not do it without our sponsors. Our lead sponsor is Williams. Thank you to Williams for their support of the last couple of years for First Thursday. It's really helped to elevate our program and support that we could bring in some amazing speakers like Elizabeth Reyes. So we appreciate that. Our neighborhood partners are Public Service Company of Oklahoma, PSO Wind Choice, as well as our community advocates, American Waste Control, Covanta, the Met, One Oak, Save Our Streams, Spirit Air Systems, Tulsa Farmers Market, and Bank of the West, and Camp Trevera. We appreciate their support. Okay, well, we look forward to seeing you all again for First Thursday, August 4th. Again, we are going to continue this conversation with EPA's team, and this time it'll be on environmental justice. And I know that's on top of mind for many of our members, and it's a theme that we have revisited several times in our First Thursday lineup. So we're really looking forward to hearing from Danny next month. So join us. Again, it's free, and I think that link may be in there for you to sign up. Elizabeth, thank you so much. Let's give her a round of applause. Appreciate all your time and effort to share this with you and with us. And I know that you said you might stick around a little bit if people want to share their videos and say hello and maybe ask a few other questions. But again, thank you all so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next month, August 4th from noon to 1 online with Danny Gogol from EPA on environmental justice. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much. Take care. And with that, we'll end the recording, and we'll just be a little more casual and say hello.